Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the AmandaFest Podcast, where our mission is simple. It's to inspire and empower you to take aligned action towards your dream life, whatever that looks like for you. I have a very special guest here today, my friend Kade. He is going to come on today to talk all about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. But as we've done with every episode, before we dive into this juicy conversation, we're just going to take a quick moment to ground down, get present, get here in our bodies so that we are able to absorb all of the beautiful, juicy, amazing wisdom that is about to be spewed into your ear holes. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if it's safe to do so, I invite you to close down your eyes. Maybe put a hand on your heart and one on your belly. And just start tuning into your internal world. Noticing what your baseline is, noticing how you're feeling right now in this moment. Maybe you're stressed, tired, anxious, content, whatever it is, just clock it. And we're going to take a couple cleansing breaths together to help move that energy. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. And on the inhale, we're going to think of an intention, something that we want to be filled up with. And on the exhale, something that we want to let go of, something that no longer serves us. So nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel free to get loud with it. Make some noise. Nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And last, nice deep breath in through your nose. Make this one count. And out through your mouth. Welcome. Welcome to AmandaFest. Welcome, Kade. I just realized I should probably mention the hair and the location. I am tuning in from Tulum. So that is, if you guys are visually watching and you're a little confused, that's what's going on. So Kade, welcome. Welcome to AmandaFest. Hi, so good to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. This is going to be awesome.
So I originally came across your content on Instagram. Kade has these awesome videos of him driving in his car and pulling up at a stoplight and dancing, like hardcore dancing, and just waiting for the person at the stoplight to react and respond. And these videos have gone totally viral. I think you're in like the billions of views at this point between Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all these different platforms. And people are just fucking loving your energy and what you're doing. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what are you doing and what is your goal and intention on social media?
I'll dive into like the whole background of the comfort zone and my comfort zone challenges in a second. But yeah, we'll start with the dancing because I feel like that's what most people know me from. They see those videos and then they come and they see that it's more than just dancing. It's not just like being weird and dancing. There's a deeper meaning behind it. But yeah, let's dive into that. All growing up, I love dancing. It just brings a lot of joy to my life. And what I learned about myself doing these comfort zone challenges that we'll dive into here is that I care way too much about what other people think. And anytime music's on, I'm dancing. But if someone's watching me, I'm like, get a little nervous. I'm worried about what they're going to think of me. And I realized I'd pull up to stoplights and I'd stop dancing.
You were like dancing before the stoplight.
Dancing before, yeah. I was dancing before and I'd pull up and then just stop and be like, wait, and then they're not looking, and then maybe I'd like dance. And I was like, hey, why would I care about this person that I've never met, that I'll never see again? Like, this makes me happy. Why should I care about what someone's invalid opinion of me is? And so I started intentionally going harder than the average person. As you saw, I danced really hard, and I would intentionally just go crazy, and people would look over. And regardless of whether they dance with me, whether they judge me, whether they hate me, whatever their reaction is, I'm going to do me. I think life is to be lived, and you can't live a life based off of other people's opinions. And so your life begins when you stop caring what other people think and do what makes you happy. And so that's the whole message behind the car dancing is live the life that you want to live. Who cares what other people think? And so, yeah, it's been fun. And just little by little, I've just learned to just not care about what other people think. It's been really cool.
I love that. I think that's so fucking awesome. It's such a beautiful lesson too, because I feel like so many people can probably resonate with that, right? Like when we talk about this podcast about taking aligned action towards your dream life, I feel like one of the number one things that holds people back from living their dreams is fear of perception, right?
Yeah.
So what does the challenge look like exactly?
The goal and intention behind it is realizing that being uncomfortable is never as bad, nor does it last as long as your brain makes it out to be. So
Yeah.
whether it's dancing in the car, whether it's doing a physical, mental, emotional, whatever challenge, once you do it, you realize, oh, what was I worried about? So many of our fears are so unrealistic. And once we just push past them, we look back and we're like, okay, that wasn't that bad. And so the only way to really overcome a fear, there's no secret to it. It's just by facing it head on. And so dancing in front of people, like little by little, I came to the realization, I'm like, okay, why was I ever worried about this? Like, this isn't
Yeah.
scary. And then sharing it on social media, it's like a double-edged sword, because not only is this person next to me watching, but now I've got millions and millions of people looking at it on social media. And, you know, when I first started, I questioned whether I should share on social media. But one, I thought, you know, that's a little bit more uncomfortable, but also I think there's a lot of people that need to hear this message. A lot of people, like you said, that
Yeah.
are scared about what other people think, like me. And so it's been really cool to be able to, you know, share this journey, share this message, post these videos, and help other people realize, hey, it's not as bad as your brain is making out to be.
Totally. One of my favorite quotes right now in life is feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yes, a quote that's very similar to that I always say is, the best time to do something is when you least want to do it.
Yeah. I was listening to a previous podcast of yours, and one of the things that you were talking about was like discipline versus motivation.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah. I feel like probably your content itself is such a mirror to the message that you're sharing. For me, I was really resistant to starting the podcast. My dream was to speak and share and talk to people, and I was holding myself back from starting it. And then finally I did it. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how to edit, and I don't know what the platform is. And I was like, okay, but I'm just going to fucking do it. I'm just going to start messy and just figure it out along the way. And slowly but surely, with the consistency, I'm in Tulum right now. I'm on vacation. I'm doing yoga and partying, and I am committed towards showing up and fucking recording my episodes, because we're having an episode come out every week. I don't care where I am, what I'm doing. I'm committed to making it happen. I'd love to hear your perspective on that discipline versus motivation and how to show up in those ways, especially when you don't want to.
Yeah. Well, to start, how long have you been doing a podcast?
I started in May of 2023
May.
or 2024.
Cool. Then you're totally going to be able to resonate with this. I guarantee there's been times, well, when you first started, I bet there's like super excited, you know, it's like scary, but you're excited. I bet there's been times when it's like, oh, should I keep doing this? Like you feel unmotivated, but you still have to do it anyways. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how anything in this life is. We're in the new year right now. Everyone has New Year's resolutions. And after the first week, it's around 25% of people who have already failed their New Year resolution. At the end of the year, it's 95% of people have failed.
Wild.
And the reason behind this is this relying on motivation. People, you know, they get excited, they want to do something, but then as soon as there's any sort of conflict, any sort of just loss of motivation, it's like, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore. And because motivation, it's a feeling, and all feelings are temporal, they come and go. But the one thing that we can hold true to is discipline, which is kind of what we were just talking about, is you can do stuff even when you don't want to. I truly believe the best time to do something is when you least want to do it.
Yeah.
Going to the gym, like at the beginning of the year, everyone's super motivated. The gyms are packed during January. It's crazy the difference between December and January at the gym. But the day when someone's sick and they don't feel like going, they don't go. The best time to go is on those days, because not only are you training your body, but you're training yourself mentally to do things even when you don't want to do them, which is very powerful.
Yeah. I feel like that's why cold exposure is so helpful. I don't know if you do cold plunges at all, but it's such a fucking mind game where you're just like, I really don't want to do this thing. But you're like, if I can prove to myself that I can do it and I can get through 30 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever it is, I could do anything. There's another quote that I've been really fucking loving recently about ready. Right. And it's like that ready isn't a feeling that you get. It's a choice that you make. That if you wait to feel ready, you never will. So you just have to decide
I love that. Ready is a choice. That's very powerful. Something that I always talk about with people is fear feeds off of time. And so the moment you feel
Ooh,
like you should do something, like you said, you'll never quite be ready.
so
Like you were
fast.
never ready to start a podcast. I wasn't ever ready to start social media. No one's ready to start a business, start a family. We're all just figuring stuff out. And so the moment you feel like you should do something, you might think, okay, like how should I say it or how should I do it? The more you ponder and think about it, the more your brain is winning and the more
Yeah.
fear is just creeping in. The moment that you can just like, I'm gonna do it, just like go for it anyways, I think you're gonna
Yeah.
be way better off. It's gonna be less scary. When you let time set in, things just get a lot worse.
Do you follow the Hermosies on
I
Instagram?
love
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. So Leah posted something the other day where she was just talking about successful entrepreneurs. And she was like, the thing that sets successful entrepreneurs apart, it's the amount of time between inception of idea and execution is
Mm,
so small. The shorter amount of time that you have between thinking of something and taking action on it, the more likely you will to be successful in that, because you're going to fail. You're going to
yeah.
fail many, many times, and you're never going to fail if you don't do the thing. So do
Mhm.
the thing, fail fast, fail
Yes.
fast and keep going.
Something that Alex Hormozy talks a lot about is the concept of delayed gratification, which is
Mm-hmm.
being able to do something today without expecting an instant reward. So I'm in social media, I do business, I do coaching, and I've got a lot of different things that I do. And so I feel privileged with the opportunity to be able to work with a lot of people. And so many people come to me like, hey, like I'm starting social media, or I'm starting this business, I'm doing this LLC, doing these taxes, doing this. And it's like, whoa, you just need to just start. They're just learning all of these random things that like you don't need to worry about that until you start making money. Like, why are you even worried about
Right.
it so far in the future? Just start. And then you figure out, okay, did it like throw something against the wall? Did it stick? Okay, keep going with that. And so, I mean, my personal journey, I've been doing content creation now for like
Yeah.
5 years. And what's funny is the first 3 years, I was only on TikTok, and I gained a pretty good following. I got to like a couple 100,000 followers. Long story short, TikTok banned me and they deleted my account. And a couple months later, I was like, you know what? Like they took everything away from me, but I just spent 3 years learning a skill set that not many people have. So like
Right.
they took everything from me, but they can't take away what I've learned. I'm restarting.
You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience.
Yes. And a lot
Yeah.
of the things that whatever it is that you're doing, you're not necessarily doing it for the results, but you're doing it
Yeah.
for what you're going to learn. And that's something that Alex Hormozy talks a lot about. He's
Mm,
like, my first 9 businesses were failures, but he learned something in each of those businesses that allowed
right.
him to just explode on his 10th business. And
Right.
so I was able to restart and I just exploded. I did over 1 million followers in less than a year.
It's
And so many people
amazing.
came up to me like, well, like, Cade, what's your secret? You're just an instant success. And it's like, no,
It takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
yeah, no one saw the years and years of posting daily on this other account that
Yeah.
I no longer have. And so, yeah, you just gotta learn how to delay that gratification and just
Yeah.
learn and do it.
Let's do like a pause and a backtrack. First of all, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, so you're super fucking young. I want to hone in a little bit on what is your dream? What are you creating? What are you building? Are you living your dream now? And like what had to happen for you to get to the point where you're like, I'm creating content, I have these businesses, I'm 26 years old, and I am fucking living my dream reality.
Yeah,
How did that happen? How did you do
yeah.
that?
A lot to tap in here. So after high school, I lived in Peru for 2 years. I served a mission for my church. After I got home, I was just trying everything and anything. I didn't really know what my dream life was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I started going to school, started just trying random side hustles, started content creation. And then with time, with doing those things, I was able to learn, my interests, what I didn't like, what I did like. And I came to understand what I feel like my purpose is now, which is
Mm,
to help inspire and influence as many people as possible to be the best versions of themselves.
fuck
And
yeah.
so that's what I really want to do, where I get a lot of fulfillment. And in order to do that, I need to be the best version of myself.
Yep.
And so that's where the whole comfort zone thing started. And
So
then
you're
sharing.
using the comfort zone thing as a means to step into the most aligned version of yourself so that you could be
Exactly.
the example for others to do the same. Fuck yeah.
Exactly. I truly believe that It doesn't matter who you are, what it is that you want to do in your life, what your dream life is. It's not going to happen inside the comfort zone. And some people are sad when they hear that. They're like, oh, I just want like the magic pill. I want the shortcut.
The crazy thing is, though, I was having this conversation with a friend the other day. He was talking about the lottery, right? And he was like, sometimes I'll play the lottery, and when I don't win, I thank God. He was like, well, I thank God because it's protection, because maybe I wasn't ready for that. It takes time to learn how to manage that amount of money. If you're just handed the thing, you're just handed the perfect body, handed the money, handed the business, if you haven't done all the work to learn the skills to know how to hold that, what are you going to do with that? I was in a content creation course last year. One of the exercises that she ran us through was like, okay, close your eyes. Let's say you got your 100,000 followers, your 1,000,000 followers, whatever it is. Are you prepared to hold that space as a leader? Do you have the capacity? How do you hold that?
I love this. Because like if someone was magically given their dream body without earning it, I would say 99.999% of people are not maintaining that. If someone, like you said, given the lottery, like, and they didn't earn that, I don't know the statistic on the people that win the lottery that go bankrupt, but it's like,
I think it's a lot. I think it's really high.
Yeah. So like, if you are given something without earning it, you basically always lose it. So you have to figure out how to earn that yourself, whether it's build a business, get that body, or
it's more about like the skills, right? It's about like the skills for like maintaining it, of how do you manage that amount of money? How do you maintain that body? How do you hold the space for hundreds of thousands of people that are looking up to you, right? And looking to you for guidance, for leadership, for coaching, for support. There's a responsibility you have there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we look at the things of the world that people seek, whether it's happiness, money, family, relationships, mental well-being, physical health, whatever those things are, all those things, none of those things that I just named, and none of the things that you guys thought of will come easy or will come inside the comfort zone.
Right.
You have to be able to get uncomfortable and just deal with that discomfort and be in the long run, because the things that bring us like temporal happiness, there's a lot of things that bring us temporal happiness, like watching entertainment, like food, junk food, drugs, whatever it may be. There's a lot of things that we can do to get those quick dopamine hits. But if I want that dream life that we're talking about here, it's a long-term play, and you have to be willing to put in that work for it.
Yeah. And what we were talking about as well with the delayed gratification of, all of these successful entrepreneurs, of not having the results immediately, and of holding true to the vision and showing up even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. So you did your mission. And then what came after that?
Yeah. So that was like one of the most crazy comfort zone challenges, where I went to Peru, didn't speak any English, was living with one of the first people I lived with. He was from Ecuador. He didn't speak any English, and here I am, just like in a foreign country I'd never been to, talking in a language that I'd never have spoken.
Where are you from originally?
So the U.S. I'm from Utah.
Okay.
And but like, it's so fun. Like, what I've learned is when you break out of your comfort zone, you realize just how beautiful life is. And so it was really cool how I was able to just get comfortable, with that culture, with Spanish and with everything, and talking to people that I've never met is really cool. So I got home from that, started going to school, started all these side hustles. And it was about 3 years ago that I came to the realization of, okay, this is my dream life, and this is what I want to do. What is preventing me from doing that? And I realized, is my fears, is my desires for comfort, the different things in my life that I was avoiding. And the magic that you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. And I was like, shoot, if I want that, if I want this life, I have to break my comfort zone. I have to overcome this. And I just went through a kind of a pivot change in my life. And I was like, okay, wrote down all my fears, all the things I was scared of. And I was like, starting tomorrow for the next 30 days, I'm doing one of these things every day, and I'm breaking my comfort zone. And I created what's called the Uncomfortable 30. And that's where like the car dancing started. That was one of my challenges. And
what other types of things were on there?
Staying on the topic of caring about other people think. My first challenge I did was wear a super weird outfit to the gym. See, I've done it a couple of times now, but I wore like baggy pajamas, snow boots, a pink cutoff, duct tape wrist, a light up hat where people are going to look at me. And I just like, I'm just doing me. When I was driving there, my heart was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared what people are going to think of me. But then at the end, I was like, okay, people like looked at me, but like, who cares? No one remembers that. That was like 3 years ago. No one remembers that but me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another one I did like to overcome fear of what people think is I would go to public places and just lay down on the floor. As weird as that sounds, like people walk by, they look like, what is this guy doing? But then they immediately go back to their own life. Like everyone is focused on themselves. No one's like
nobody really cares as much as you think that they care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
and once you can break free from that, it's like fucking game changer.
Yeah. Another thing I did is I went to what's it called? Not Zumba, like a high fit class. It's like a workout dance class.
Yeah.
Anyways, I went to that class and I'm like the only guy in the room. There's probably like 40 girls, and I'm just like so scared. It's way like out of my norm. I like to lift weights. I don't dance for exercise.
Right.
And I was so nervous being in there. Like I stuck out like a sore thumb. But then at the end, I had so much fun. It was so much fun. And so many things in life that we're scared of turn out to be like some of our greatest moments. And so, yeah, I've done a lot of different things and every time I do something, it just reassures me, living outside the comfort zone is where I need to be.
Yeah, I love that. I had a friend on this podcast recently. Her and I both just live these like really ridiculous lives and end up in these crazy situations. And her and I were like trying to boil down like, okay, what is the thing? How do these crazy experiences and opportunities continue to manifest over and over? And we boiled it down to, we say yes to things that most people would say no to, which then unlocks opportunities that most people would never be in. I think there's so much misconception around you're a grown up and you have to blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you fucking don't. Like, what is fun for you? What used to be fun for you? And I feel like people are so disconnected from that. It sounds like a lot of the things on your list, they're silly, they're fun, they're playful. They're things that kids would do. That's something a little kid would be like, I want to wear a Batman cape to school today. I'm tired. I'm going to lay down. I feel a certain way. I'm going to yell in a crowd. Like, kids are so uninhibited because they don't have a perception of how they're being perceived. Yeah. My other friend who I had on this podcast as well, he has this quote that I love that I feel like you're going to really like, where he says, we are the human permission slips. So in us showing up in our authenticity, in our full expression as the most authentic versions of ourselves, just by doing that, you're inherently giving others permission. And with your platform and with your audience, it's like you're giving billions of people permission to just be ridiculous and just express. And it's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that my dad taught me all growing up is if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. So whatever it is that you're doing in your life, it have fun. Like, people take life way too serious, and they're like, you need to be mature. You got to do this. You got to do this. And something that I just drill on my social media is normalize not being normal. Why be normal when you can be you? There's only one version of you. Why try and be someone else?
Well, and also everybody wants to be extraordinary, but nobody wants to be different.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Everybody's like, I want to be super successful. I want this, I want that, but I don't want to do anything that's going to rock the boat. Like,
where like the definition of extraordinary is being different,
not
like
ordinary.
Being not ordinary.
Yeah.
And so my whole content is centered around just being your authentic self, being you, having fun with it. There's a lot of science behind this whole concept that we're diving into. I don't know if you've ever heard of what's called neuroplasticity or neurogenesis.
Oh yeah. It's my fucking jam.
So neuroplasticity is, okay, I might confuse the two.
Yeah.
But they're kind of hand in hand. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to develop new neurons, and then neurogenesis is your brain's ability to create new pathways.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think plasticity is the pathways.
Is it?
I don't know if you're into psychedelics at all, but that's basically what mushrooms are able to support people with. So I'm really big on like plant medicine as a tool towards personal growth, because it's a way to support you in dissolution of ego so that you can then see new ways of approaching perspective, life, decisions. It just aids in that ability to create those new pathways.
Yeah, that's way cool. So a lot of people feel like, oh, I was born this way, or this is who I am. I can't change.
Yeah.
When this concept proves that you can change, you can rewire your brain, whether you have a habit. Like habits are very hard to overcome.
Right.
Creating new habits are hard to overcome. It's because like our brain is wired a certain way. But the more that you do something different, or the more that you do something repetitively, our
Yeah.
brain will naturally adjust and create new pathways to where now that becomes the habit. And
Right.
so the more that you do things, differently, a lot of people are just in a routine,
Yeah.
living their boring life of waking up, going to work, coming home, eating, going to bed. Your brain is literally like dying. There's no growth that's happening. And I always think like if you're not growing,
You're
then
dying.
you're going backwards.
Yeah.
And so the more that you can do things differently, expose yourself to new people, new foods, new
Yeah.
environments, new activities, the more your brain is adjusting, adapting, and just growing. And if
Right.
you're growing, then, you're having
Well,
a
which
good
is
life.
why like what you've done and what I'm doing, and it's like living these examples of like moving to Peru, not knowing the language, living with a
Mhm.
family, being forced to learn Spanish. It's like you're putting yourself in these situations where you're just like, okay,
Yeah.
got to figure this out.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I literally came to Tulum. I've been here for a week now. I truly feel like I've been here for months. I arrived without knowing where I was sleeping.
Wow.
Just for fun, just like I could easily pay for a hotel, but I was like, what if I just arrive and see what happens? And then I ended up sleeping on someone's couch the first night. And then the second night I got a hostel, and I was like, I'm only going to get the hostel for 2 nights because I want to leave myself open to the possibility of whatever might want to unfold. I literally get to the hostel, put my bag down, was like, I'm hungry, went to the cafe at the hostel, met somebody who lived at a villa down the block who was like, hey, do you want to come back and hang out with me? Went out to dinner with him and his roommate, and they were like, we have extra rooms. Do you want to stay here? And I was like, yeah. Or I'll go to concerts intentionally. I'll go to festivals without tickets just to play the game of like, let me just play. Because worst case scenario, I fucking buy a ticket. It's not that deep. Or I go home, or the show doesn't happen. I worked with a mindset coach. When I first left my Hollywood job, I was panicking. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? She played the game with me of like, all right, worst case scenario, play it out. Play out worst case scenario. 9 times out of 10, worst case scenario is not going to happen. But let's say it did. Let's say it did. If you actually play it out, worst case scenario is not that bad. Like,
It's not.
Like if you want to be an entrepreneur and it doesn't work out, worst case scenario, you get another 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Your worst case scenario is people's normal. Like
Easy. I love that. I love that concept.
I realized in that I was being a little fucking drama queen. And every time I played out worst case scenario, I'm like, and then I die. Like, you're not going to die. Like I was like, I'm going to lose my job, and then I'm not going to be able to eat, and then I'm going to be homeless, then I'm going to live on the street, and then I'm going to die. And she was like, but is that actually going to happen? And I was like, no, like my family will help me, and like this will happen and this will happen, and like there's 18 other things that will happen before that happens. And she's like, yeah, like you won't die, promise.
Our brains are wired to stay comfortable. It's how humans have survived, like when they're cold, your body's like, hey, I'm uncomfortable, warm me up. If I'm hungry, hey, feed me, I'm tired, like let's sleep. And that's how our bodies are programmed. But we live in a world of so much comfort now, where now the comforts that we feel are not even comparable to what our ancestors felt.
Right.
Like if it's 1 degree too hot in a room, we're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. Like we're stuck in traffic. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is so uncomfortable. It's like we're in a motorized vehicle that can drive us anywhere in the world. What I've learned is we are way too comfortable. And what happens is when you live an easy life, it becomes hard. But if you can make your life hard, it can become easy. And so the more that you get out of your comfort zone, do those things, like the things that you just said, some people are listening to that saying that I would never do that. That is so scary. But what happens is when you do things that you don't want to do, you start to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I've done the uncomfortable 30 now 3 times. Even when I'm not doing the uncomfortable 30, I'm always, living outside the comfort zone. I'm actually currently doing the uncomfortable 30 right now as we speak.
Amazing.
I'm on day, 14 or something. And some of the challenges that I do, people are like, how does that help you? Like I watched the movie Standing Up, and people are like, what scientific benefit does watching a movie, standing up, I put a tarantula on my face, and people are like, that's just stupid. Why would you do that? What benefit does that do? But what it does is it trains my body that I'm doing things regardless of my desires. I'm going to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So, I mean, we all go through problems and trials in life. And when those trials come, it's like, if we live in a life of comfort, trials affect us way more. But if we can live outside the comfort zone when trials and problems come, because they do, no one is exempt to that. It's like, okay, I know what this feeling is like.
And I know how to move through it.
I know how to move through it. Exactly.
I feel like that's a cold exposure lesson. It's like putting yourself intentionally in a really uncomfortable scenario and like moving through in your mind. And I even say it's like, I can do hard things. Like, this isn't scary. I'm not going to die. I'm uncomfortable. Okay. But if I can push through this discomfort, that means that you're training yourself. Like, and I feel like that's what all of your lessons are. It's all training grounds for when the discomfort that you don't seek out happens, you know how to handle it. You're not thrown off your fucking rocker. You're like, yeah, okay, get back up. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for cold water exposure.
Yeah.
And you know, there's actually like scientific evidence as to why it's good for you, like your immune system, your circulation, recovery, energy. There's a lot of stuff that's good behind that. But I think that the best thing, like the main reason why I do it is for what you just talked about, the ability to do something when you don't want to do it. For someone who hasn't done, like, the first time you do an ice bath, like, it's unforgettable. You get in and your brain is screaming, get out. No! You can't breathe. And you literally do feel like you're dying. You're like, like, oh my gosh. Like, but if you can just push past that, like, those moments are the moments that if you can get past that, you're like, oh my gosh, what can't I do?
I'm actually very curious what your response to this is, of what's the most scared you've ever been in your life? Do you have an answer to that?
Most scared I've ever been was probably going to Peru. I remember like being in the airport with my family. I was throwing up in the bathroom because I was just so scared. I was about to leave my family for 2 years. And like, I was like, I don't know the language. I don't know the people. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is crazy. That was probably the most scary.
I imagine your challenge. I'm curious what the feedback is from people, where it's like, I imagine, to a different degree, of course, but it's like you get through these 30 things that seem super uncomfortable. And then you get to the end of it, you're like, I did that shit. I could do anything. Like,
I just got chills because that you're speaking my language. Something that I've learned, do you know who David Goggins is?
Yeah.
So something that he talks about is the calloused mind, which is where the more that you can do hard things, like the easier it is to do other hard things. You know, if you develop resilience in one aspect of your life, it carries over into all aspects, kind of going back to the being comfortable, being uncomfortable type thing.
Right.
One of my challenges on day 3, I wanted to beat my pull-up record of 100 pull-ups and do 200 pull-ups. And I was in this mindset of like pushing past my limits. We as humans, like, the only limitations that we have are the ones that we place on ourselves.
Yeah.
And so if you think this is my limit, I guarantee you can push past it. You just have to do it. You have to believe that you can. That day I ended up doing 600 pull-ups. My hands were like just destroyed. And I was super stoked.
From 100 to 600?
Yeah, it was crazy. It took me like 3 hours. And I posted on social media, and then I got all this hate that were like, cap, no way, like, this is fake, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of my 30 days, I was like, you know what? I think I could do more. Like, because I just finished the 30 days and I was like, that exact feeling of like, what can't I do? Like, just in that discomfort high of like, man, I can push past anything. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go for 1,000. And I did a live stream for all the haters, and I live streamed it. It took me 8 hours. And that was my, like, definitely the most uncomfortable physical challenge I've ever done.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
crazy. 8 hours of just pull-ups. I'd do like 5 pull-ups, take a minute break, get back on the bar. But at the end, it was like, oh my gosh, like, what can't I do? And
nothing. You could
so
do anything. Like, we could do anything.
And for all the listeners out there, something that I always want to reiterate is when people see and hear about the things that I do, they're like, well, I don't really want to do that. And you don't have to go to the extreme. I always tell people, like, just start small. Just get out of your comfort zone. Like, go say hi to someone that you've never met. Go
Go
do
to
a
a
workout
show
you've
by
never done.
yourself.
Yeah,
I say that too because my story is like, it's kind of extreme as well, where I'm like, I quit my job, I packed up my
yeah,
apartment, I left my life. And I was like, in order to live your dream life, like you don't have to do that, but you
yeah.
have to do something. Like
You have to
you
do
have to.
your own hard. Everyone's hard is different.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people see, like, my comfort zone challenge, like, one of the things I did was I did an hour sauna session. That sucked. I hated that. And I had all these, like,
Not
finished
recommended by
people.
a doctor.
Yeah, and I had all these finished people and all these wrestlers in my comment section, like, "Oh, that's not hard. That's not hard." Like, we do that all the time, but it's like, my heart's different than yours. And so you just need to
Right.
figure out what your heart is, what your fears are, and that's what you need to do. You don't need to do what
Yeah.
you do, what I do. You just have to do what makes you uncomfortable.
Right. And like, and I think identifying that as well, like to your point. So I talk a lot about like intentional socialization. And for me, I'm super fucking outgoing. I'll talk to any person that I meet. I'm comfortable going to shows by myself. I'm comfortable being in a space where everybody's drinking and choosing not to drink. Like there are all of these, like, again, like that's a micro thing. Go somewhere and whether you're sober or not sober, intentionally make a choice that's different than what everyone else in the room is doing. That could be really uncomfortable for people.
Yeah.
And yeah, identifying like what are those things and thinking about as well, like, you know, when I say like feel the fear and do it anyway, or like, you know, if like you're uncomfortable, that means do it. Like there is some level of discernment that needs to happen, right? Where it's like, okay, am I saying no to this thing because I genuinely don't want to do it? And the thing that I feel like is commonly misconstrued is like fear and excitement feel really similarly in the body,
Mm. Mhm.
right? So sometimes you might be excited about something, but you're like, I don't know, and then you don't, and it's like
Yeah.
just lean a little, like
Yeah.
lean a little,
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, our brains are really good at justifying. And, like you said, you feel an urge to do something and you're like, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. Something that, like, I talk about a lot is honesty is something that everyone wants to be trusted. And if I tell you I'm going to do something, I want to make sure I do it because, I told you I'd do it. But when we
Yeah.
tell ourselves, hey, I want to do this, how often do we fall through on ourselves? We're not trustworthy with ourselves, which I think is the most important thing. If you say,
Yes.
like, this is your New Year's resolution, do it. It's so powerful when you say you're going to do something and then you hold to yourself. We forgive ourselves like way too easily. We just justify it like, oh,
Yeah.
I was sick. Oh, I was tired. Like I have a reason. But then when it's with other people, we know that those excuses don't fly.
That's how you build
Yeah.
trust within yourself. And how do you trust that you're going to show up when you
Yeah.
say that you're going to do something? Right. For me, I have the same where I'm just like, my success is inevitable. I'm like, I
Mhm.
know it because there is no failing. Failure is not an
Mm,
option. Like, I'm
cool.
just going to keep doing it until it works. And it will work because if you
Mhm.
keep doing it, like, it will work.
Yeah, and then and just going back to what we just talked about is start small.
Yeah.
It's whatever you say you wanna do. Start with something very small. If you want to start a podcast,
Just do it.
dive in, just do it. And you don't have to like go get like the craziest person. Just start like maybe do a podcast by yourself and just get
Yeah.
comfortable talking
Yeah.
in front of the camera. Just start something super small or
Some people get stuck in this like prep mode where they're like, okay, I want to start a podcast. So I'm going to like do all this research. I'm going to think about the topics and I'm going to write all this stuff out. And then I need to get all the equipment and I'm going to get a room and I'm going to get the mic and I'm going to do this. And it's like, you're tricking yourself into believing that you're taking action on the thing because you're preparing for the thing. I remember the day I started the podcast, I was on a walk with my friend. I had been talking about it for months. And I was like, yeah, one day I'm going to start a podcast. And I was like, I'm going to do it today. I was like, I'm just going to fucking hit record because otherwise I'm going to keep talking about it for another 6 months and it is literally never going to happen. That first episode, I didn't even edit it. It was totally raw. It's fine. It's a good episode. It's not great,
cool.
but I was like, it doesn't matter. And I did it with my friend that I was with. I was like, hey, I couldn't figure out how to get a recording of both of us in the same room. So she was in her bedroom and I was in her living room. And I was like, we're going home and we're hitting record and we're doing it right now.
That's awesome. Good for you.
But sometimes you just need that, or you just need someone to be like, fucking do it. Like, go. Push you in the deep end and be like, you can swim, I swear. Like,
Exactly. Like I said, the best time to do something is when you least want to do it. You just gotta do it.
Amazing. Well, this has been so fucking fun. I absolutely love, love, love your energy. I love your message. I think so deeply, like we need more people on social media that are sharing messages like this. Social media gets such a bad rap that it takes up so much of our time and that people kind of just get sucked into doom scrolling. But I do believe that there is so much like nourishing, incredible content out there, especially from people that are living in such a genuine and heartfelt way, that are sharing their message, that are expanding people's ideas and capacity for what's possible. And I truly feel like you're one of these way showers on the internet right now. So I just wanted to say, like, thank you for the work that you're doing, first of all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And second of all, I know you talked about your 30-day challenge. I want to give you the opportunity to plug any way. If there's ways that people want to work with you, that they want to follow you, they want to engage with you, what is the best way to go about all that?
Yeah. What's something that's interesting is people, when they see my social media, they think that's what I do full time, but this is a passion project for me. I have a couple different businesses that are my income stream, and then they allow me to have the time freedom to do what I enjoy, which is social media, pushing my limits, becoming the best version of myself. And so everything that I'm doing on social media truly is because I do want to help people. And so if anyone is like listen and does want to, get out of the comfort zone, they want to know where to start, I do have a wellness guide in my bio. It's completely free. And it just walks through each aspect of life, whether it's physical, financial, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it is. It taps into each of those aspects of life and just the smallest, simplest thing that you can do to better yourself. And so if anybody wants to, tap into this aspect of life and they want to see what I would recommend in my bio, they can do that. And then the coaching is more for the financial. I have a side hustle that I teach that just helps people. As sad as it is, you can't really be the best version of yourself if you aren't taken care of financially.
Right.
And
you need to
so,
have all your base needs met.
yeah, like if you don't have your base needs, you can't tap into those other aspects of life. And so the coaching is more for that aspect, and you can learn more about what that side hustle is. And so, yeah, that would be what I would recommend people is to get that free wellness guide.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to put in the show notes below the tags to your Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. So if you guys want to connect, you want to follow Kate, definitely do it. And yeah, this has been so much fun. Keep fucking doing what you're doing. I'm so excited to continue to witness your evolution and just see how, you're so young. I'm so excited to see how you continue to grow and evolve, and the impact that you're having on your community and as it expands and grows is just very exciting. So thank you so much for saying yes to this and for coming on. And yeah, I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And I love your energy. This has been fun. I love seeing other people implement these things that I hold true to myself, and seeing you, getting out of your comfort zone in the ways that you've done it. It's super fun. So thanks for having me on.